All right. We are live. We are live. What up, what up, what up, what up? What up, everybody? Give people a couple of seconds to hop in the room. We are live. We are live. We got a special show tonight. Just give me a couple of seconds. I'm trying to do a bunch of things at one time. We're going to share this over here. Share. Group. All right. Let's get this thing started. Peace to everybody watching us live. Peace to all the people checking in, checking us out on the replay. Welcome to my Detroit Hustle TV live. Everybody watching us on X, what up, though? Retweet this broadcast. Everybody watching on Facebook, on my personal page, on the My Detroit Hustle fan page, and the MyDetroitHustle.com Facebook group. What up, though, to everybody? Share this live. Drop us a comment. Shout out to everybody checking us out on IG at My Detroit Hustle DOT.com and on My Detroit Hustle TV on YouTube, which you can find at My Detroit Hustle TV 6438. We in here, we chilling, about to chop it up for a little bit. First of all, I want to let you know about the radio station. Yes, we've launched the radio station on Live 365. It's called My Detroit Hustle Radio. You know what the format is. It's the world's hottest independent, underground, and unsigned hip-hop. Plus, I'm spitting a little of that world-class game on there, as usual. We got excerpts from some of our interviews on there. And I got to say, man, I sit and I listen to the radio station, man, it's hot. So if you want to hear some hot underground, unsigned, independent music, you really need to check this out. Artists, if you feel like you fit the format and you feel like you got that heat, be sure to send them MP3s to My Detroit Hustle at Outlook.com. So like I say today, we just came to kick it a little bit, touch base with the people on this lovely holiday weekend. And we got a special guest. You might have seen him on My Detroit Hustle TV. We interviewed him earlier. His name is Devious One out of Toronto, Canada. So I'm going to bring him in and we're going to chop it up a little bit. Let's see. What's happening, my brother?
Yo, thanks for having me, man, and congratulations on launching the radio station, man. That's dope, man. It's good luck.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. We got a couple of your joints banging on there. We got Nobody Is Banging, Coke Lines and Chemtrails, and I forgot the name of the other one, but it's on there. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I just put me on your remix. That could be one of them. And then Hurt was another single that I just dropped, and then I got another single coming out this couple of weeks coming up. So lots of joints dropping. I did send you a lot, so I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. I know it can be overwhelming when you have so many submissions coming in. So I appreciate you taking the time to give me a spot on the radio and give me a spot on your platform here on my Detroit Hustle TV, man.
Well, that's why I want to urge you artists send that music in, because I mean, I got a lot of music on there, but people like you, people like my man Piff Penny, Prop Hustler, you guys are like dominating the stations because you got a bunch of joints on there, and y'all music pop up every 5 minutes.
That's dope. Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, man. It's love.
So I see you've been dropping a lot of singles and features. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Which songs are your singles and which ones are things that you're featured on?
So most of the stuff are my singles. Coke Lines and Chemtrails I was asked to be on by Joey Violin. He's from Canada. He's just from a different province. Shout out to Joey Violin. He actually remixed one of my joints before. He remixed Forbidden Fruit. And so that got remixed a couple times from a couple different producers. So people familiar with my music might have heard Joey Violin already before. Everything else has been dropping on PSA Music Group through my digital distribution. The couple of joints that I got coming featuring Diamond Sun, which Diamond Sun is already featuring on some of my singles. So some of the stuff that I got coming out with them will be me featuring on their album, a song called Time's Up. Look for that coming soon. I got a joint coming out on my digital streaming platform where I was just saying, Danger Zone, which is featuring Megason and Peace Omega. Peace Omega is one half of Diamond Sun. Peace Omega produced the beat. It's a complete banger, and it's great because Megashawn just dropped the joint with Snoop Dogg. So the fact that Megashawn, jumped on this joint with me and Peace Omega was dope. And the way the song came about was real random. We went to the Cool G Rap show, and I bumped into Peace Omega and Megashawn there, and Peace Omega and I went back to the crib, and he started making a beat in front of me, and then boom, Danger Zone happened. Megashawn on the hook, Omega on the beat and on a verse, and I dropped a verse, and it's bananas. So I'm gonna be dropping some promo videos coming up, try to lock in those pre-saves, and so look for that joint, and all the joints that's dropped, man. Nobody came out, and that's featuring Diamond Sun. Hurt, that's produced by Spade. Put Me on Your Remix, that's produced by Swan, but also featuring. Or no, so that's produced by Peace Omega, featuring Swan and Peace Omega. Nobody was produced by Swan. Sorry, I get so confused. I'm working with like so many people these days, but man, the music just keeps coming. I stayed busy during winter with hibernating and writing, and now it's just getting the music out there, and now like locking in some shows and moving forward. You know what I mean? And promoting that music now.
Right. So I see you doing a whole lot, and that's a good thing. So would you say that you like met a new group of people? Because sometimes you connect with a new group of people and then collaborations just start going crazy, or do you just have people reaching out to you like that right now?
It's just a group of people that I'm surrounded with right now. Swan is somebody that also remixed one of the joints, Forbidden Fruit. So working with Swan has been something that's ongoing, and we're growing some other stuff, and we're working on some other stuff behind the scenes right now. So expect more from me and Swan. Expect more from me and Diamond Sun as well. These are all just songs that we just started working together on the studio, just putting in that work in the studio, and we're gonna start working on some albums together. So like, you know what I mean? Like there's gonna be an EP with me and Swan. There's gonna be an EP with me and Peace Omega. So this is just a taste of what's to come, basically.
Okay. So I gotta know. Can you explain to me what is the concept of Coke Lines and Chemtrails? What does it mean?
All right. So I got approached by homie and right away, you know what I mean? I knew what I wanted to say. I just had to get it out onto the paper and make it work nice with the wordplay. And so I knew where he was going with it. His music is very dark and eerie sounding. So I knew where we wanted to go with it. Not much was had to be conversed. You know what I mean? He hit me with the beat and the hook was already there. So I kind of just knew where to go with it. And I think once I sent him it, he was pretty happy with the final product. And he goes, "You executed exactly what I expected," and we ran with it. And he dropped it shortly after. So it's definitely political. You know what I mean? There's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world right now. I don't want to like tap into politics and stuff like that. Get your show demonetized or whatever. But like with everything that's going on, just the political climate is so high and the tension is so high. Sometimes we just need to speak on it. And I think music has always done that. It kind of mirrors the times. You know what I mean? We're a product of our environment. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, so we talked about this before privately, but this is something I want the public to know. I do a lot of promotion, and when I was promoting your interview you did on my platform, when I noticed when I reach out to your followers to promote, I get a lot of positive feedback from your followers, and
Salute to the followers.
something that should not be taken lightly, because I got to be honest, a lot of, from what I see, a lot of these people's followers don't care nothing about them. So, what do you think it is? Why do you think so many people have something positive to say about you as far as your followers? Why are they supportive? Because it's just not that common.
I think for the most part, it's just that I stay genuine in what I'm trying to do, right? So, you know, I am an artist. I am a fan of music first, you know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, coming into the music industry as an artist, I see that it's super hard, right? It's super expensive to make music, and the money you get back from streams and performances and merch, it's not, the ratio is not proper, right? So it's really hard. So I really want to try to emphasize to people that what I do behind the scenes is what makes people kind of see the genuine authenticity that I bring, right? Like I'm not like trying to get over on anybody. I literally just want to see everybody eat, you know what I mean? So for the most part, you know, people that have said good things about me is probably just because they have a good experience with their dealings with me. If it be, you know, like if an artist came to me and, you know, we were going to work, but they want to charge me for their work, if it be a beat or charge me for a verse, I've never been known to, you know, like really bargain somebody down. You know what I mean? I've been known to barter and do a trade of service, but I've never really, you know, devalue somebody as an artist. And I think a lot of people respect that, right? So if you can continue to just carry yourself in a, you know, respectful business manner where you're not trying to get over on somebody, that people will fucks with you. You know what I mean? Especially if you're making good music too, right? And if you're doing good, right? I do Indie Rotation, which is a TV show helping indie artists. I got New Music Tuesday, which is a Facebook group that is self-promotion, but it's helping indie artists because I can come in and I can boost posts, pin posts at the top of the page. So like I'm always, you know, scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You know what I mean? Help me grow, I'll help you grow, right? So I'm not hard to work with. So like nobody's really had anything bad to say about me. And there probably is. You look hard enough and you probably will find somebody that has something bad to say about me. But at the end of the day, I don't care, right? I'm just trying to generally move forward, generally build a community where music is not so hard to, you know, make it work, right? And it takes a village. So if we can build a community and we're all working together and we're all have the same goals and we're not trying to be like crabs in the bucket mentality, then you know what I mean? We'll get there. So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I appreciate you. Like we're not that far, but we're still, you're Detroit, I'm Toronto, and we've been working together for a few years now, and we've continued to help each other grow. You know what I mean? So I appreciate everything that you've done for me, putting me on your show, putting me on your playlist, and I've done the same for you, right? Putting you on playlists. and definitely like when I was doing indie rotation, if you ever came to Toronto, I would have definitely had you on the show. So like that, it's just those types of things that we have to do to build communities to make music work for everybody, right? There's no gatekeeping. There's no like, real struggle when you're all working together.
Right. I don't know if you wanted to touch on this or not, but what did happen with indie rotation? That was a nice little thing you had there.
Yeah, we just put a pin in it for now. We wrapped up season 1. We're gonna do season 2. I'm just looking for a new location here in Toronto, new film crew, and just get it done proper for season 2. Season 1, the Ryan McIntyre just had to go work on some things that his contracts didn't allow him to work on other things. He's working with like A&E and stuff like that. So going forward, I got to appreciate that he locked in such a beautiful contract with a very well-known company, and I got to be proud of him. You know what I mean? So nothing's stopping indie rotation right now except for just scouting a new location, finding a new film team, and then getting artists back in to film episodes and just finding artists that fits the format. Just like you try to find artists to fit the format for the radio station, you want it to fit the same vibe because you're playing a certain genre of music. I want to keep it urban and do hip hop, R&B, reggae. But the thing is like I just needed like a format, and I wanted to do music videos, interview, and live performance so people can really see an artist's full depth, right? If they get in an interview, they can see the other side of them, if they're funny, if they're reserved, or whatever the case may be. With the music videos, they can see their creativity with their visuals, and then with their live performance, they can see if they can really knock. You know what I mean? Some people make great music, but just don't perform well. You know what I mean? So I think it was a great format, and I still want to continue to do it, and I'm still continuing to do it. It's just a lot of moving parts, and like I'm a musician myself, and just so many things that are always going on. It's gonna come back. You know what I mean? There's no stopping it right now. It's just putting a pin in it for now.
I know it's got to be difficult finding artists to fit that, because I know it's hard enough. It seems like it's a million artists, but when you say sing your MP3s in, you'd be surprised how many people don't have it. So I've gotta feel like it's got to be difficult to find people that have music and a video and are ready to perform, because a lot of people say they're artists, but when it's time to show and prove, not that many people are willing to step up.
Well, that was not the only thing. The other problem I was having is being that I was saying that I'm trying to find a location to film here in Toronto is we were filming an hour north of Toronto. So some artists, didn't have rides or whatever. And I was trying to work with them saying, hey, you can catch a ride with me because I live in Toronto. We can just tag along together and back or whatever. So now having it in Toronto, I'm hoping to eliminate that issue because Toronto's a booming city with so many, amazing artists. It shouldn't be hard to, find a location in Toronto that's willing to commit to us coming to film. Either we do, a bunch of long sessions and get a bunch of artists done in a couple of weekends, or we do it how we were doing it up north, where we were just having somebody come through every Sunday, and then a week later we'd have it edited and posted up, right? So it's just all about finding something more convenient so that artists can come out, and then on top of that, finding somebody as good as Brian. When it comes to filming and editing, he was amazing. He did all the animation and stuff like that for all the transitions. So it's hard to find somebody to replace somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm not gonna go and do somebody that doesn't have the same skill set as him just to put out season 2, right? I want to find somebody as good or better, and to make it happen, right? So that's why it's taking a little bit of time, because I'm also working on my own music and got some shows coming up and stuff like that. So
okay. So you use Facebook groups as a major part of building your following. Can you explain to us how you use Facebook groups?
So the thing is I have a few Facebook groups of my own, New Music Tuesday, and then I work with other group owners. So Facebook gives tools like the at everyone or pinning a post to the top of the page, and it just helps focus on a specific post, because some posts can have so many members, and some songs and some posts can get lost in the sauce. So the way that I use my personal group is anybody that's willing to send out invites to MCs, producers, musician, DJs, music lovers, and I'll use that everyone on your post, and it's just like a way to, like, you help us grow, we help you grow. But then I further have my further reach, and my network expands further, because I can go and reshare your post in the other groups that I am working with the owners, and get them to use the at everyone on in their groups. So what I can really do is really expand reach to the UK, the States, Canada, and then get that global traction if you make good music and your visuals are appealing to people, right? Because also you got to remember that the algorithms work in a certain way. If you never, interacted with that person, it might not show up in the feed, even though you're both part of the same group. So it's very important to also engage with others, right? And that's where the networking part comes in, and that's a part that I really strive on, is networking and trying to work with others, and just trying to further our web to further our goals, right?
Okay. So can you explain to us what is New Music Tuesday? What is the concept of that?
Well, it's just an indie self-promoting Facebook group. Artists can come in there, use the hashtag New Music Tuesday. That's the only rule of the group. And the point of the hashtag is that it's like, for the greater good of the group. The more members we get, the more people using it in the group and outside of the group will further, continue to make that hashtag a trending hashtag. So that's the only one rule of the group, and that's just for the greater good. And then every time that you have something to promote, you come in and you send out 15 to 20 invites to, like I said, producers, artists, music lovers, DJs. Once you run out of friends, we can cross promote in other ways. You can still, share things that I need promoted, like this live, or whatever, and then I'll still use the at everyone on your post. So the more you do that, the more you're going to build a fan base, because people will come and like the post, and then you can come back, and 3-4 days after me using the at everyone on your post, you'll see 15, 20, maybe 30 new likes, and you can invite them to follow your page. And then now you have people that are basically subscribed to your Facebook page, right? Because they're following your page, right? So, and then this is the way to continue to try to direct people to merch sales or ticket sales, or streams, you know what I mean? And so this is, a very important part, an integral part of using social media to make your music reach people that you may not reach otherwise.
Right. With that being said, everybody watching us live, make sure you search for the New Music Tuesday Detroit chapter Facebook group. I'm going to be helping with the administration of the group, and we are going to be doing some very cool things to help artists get exposure. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on board with New Music Tuesday, man. I really appreciate you heading up a chapter. The more we expand and the more people, you know what I mean? Because, like, at the end of the day, like, let me also explain something about New Music Tuesday is a lot of artists will, release music on a New Music Friday when they get completely lost in the sauce, because they're competing with the Drakes, the Lady Gagas, the Billie Eilish. You know what I mean? There's no way that people are checking for you on a Friday. People are going out to party. They want to hear their favorite, biggest artists, new music. You know what I mean? So New Music Tuesday was also a nod to when they used to release music because of Nelson ratings. So there's a post that I've shared in New Music Tuesday where there's like an industry professional talking about, if you're thinking about releasing music on a Friday, you're lost. If you're thinking about releasing music on a Saturday, you're losing. If you're releasing music on a Sunday, you lost. Monday, you lost. He said the best days to release music are on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, especially if you're an indie artist. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he even said Thursdays shouldn't even be for new music. Thursdays should be kept for throwback Thursdays. If you're already an artist that's been making music for a while, you should reserve Thursdays for, bringing people back to your old music, if not new people to your old music that they've never heard. You know what I mean? Because your old music might be new to somebody, right?
Right.
So it's very important to take advantage of certain things that are going on, right? Throwback Thursday's a thing, following trends on TikTok. But like following trends on TikTok maybe is more helpful for somebody that's in the dance part of the music industry, right? For an artist, you can do the TikToks where you finish an open verse for some known artist, you know what I mean? So there's definitely avenues to take to try to get your music heard. I've just never personally wanted to jump on the TikTok trends and decided to focus on an energy on a social media platform that I'm familiar with and that I've already built up, membership and stuff. I've only had New Music Tuesday, the original chapter, for, coming this February of 2025 will be 3 years. So, in 3 years, we've almost got 3,000 members. You know what I mean? So we've grown it pretty fast. There's some loyal members in there. There's some people just watching. There's some people posting but not engaging in other posts. So like at the end of the day, you're always going to have self-serving artists. And so I'm not trying to focus my energy on those types. I'm trying to focus on the people that are really easy to work with and that understand, the power in networking and, the power in good music speaking for itself, and then just continuing to work on that. You know what I mean?
Yep. Now, technology has made it where it's so easy to make music now, and that's a great thing. But now there are so many artists, it's to the point that the music has almost no value anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
I think everything gets watered down eventually, especially when more people are trying to do it. Things get saturated, and I think for the most part, if you are doing it and you're being authentic and you're being your most authentic self, I think you will, not have to worry about any of that, right? The music that is losing value are people that are in it for a quick buck or in it for groupies, you know what I mean, or in it for clout, so like, yeah, man, for the most part, everything get watered down. There was that old song video, killed the radio star, right? So, that song was basically talking about, the popularity of something and something going mainstream, makes it become less valuable, watered down. And yeah, it's just kind of like the way that cycle goes for everything. You know what I mean? When horror movies first came out, they were amazing. And then it became watered down because some bad horror movies came out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Going forward, do you think there's any hope for recording artists to make a living off his music?
I think there's things there's things happening in the background that there's definitely people fighting for, the indie artists. I think there was just a law passed in the States about paying artists more per stream. I don't know how much of that's going to really, take effect and when it will take effect and will they pay back pay? Who knows, right? But I think that there's always going to be monopolies, and I think that's capitalism, right? If we had a little trickle down economies happening, and there wasn't like people messing things up, and allowing monopolies to happen and allowing worker exploitation to happen. Because when you see artists getting paid 0.007 cents per stream, that's worker exploitation. You know what I mean? Because if you think about how much it costs to make a song, how much it costs to make a video for a song, how much it costs to promote that song on social media or pay a publicist, it just doesn't add up, right? The math ain't mathin'. So, it's very important that, you try to direct people where you're going to make your biggest profits margins. And unfortunately, that's usually just selling physical merch, if it be CDs, vinyl, t-shirts, hats, right? And I definitely try to corner that side of the market. And I think that's super important. But if you're not out doing shows, then you know what I mean. You have to be a real genius with marketing to be selling things online exclusively and selling out and all these things. So marketing's not an easy thing, and some of these bigger artists make it look easy, but they also just drop something and don't really have to put that even that much marketing into it sometimes, and they still get, you know what I mean, the sales, the streams, you know what I mean. So you know, it is what it is. We can't complain. We got to just grind through it and keep being that hustler. And you know, you don't call it Detroit hustle for nothing. You know what I mean? Because you know this is a hustle, and if you're in it, you got to love it to begin with.
One of my favorite marketers said that oversaturation only affects you if you don't have a brand. If you haven't
Right.
established your brand, then that's the only way that it affects you.
Yeah, branding is so important, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't want to get into that side of things. They just want to make the music. I've heard some artists just let me be an artist, just let me be an artist, and I get that, and I understand that. Sometimes, you know, getting into the business side of it can affect the music. It can make things tainted and so on and so forth. It can take away the creativity aspect from the artist. So that's why some people just don't even want to get involved. But it is super important. Branding is 101.
I mean, I understand people. I understand it's something that people might not like doing, but I don't understand the people that talk as if it's not necessary. It's like saying I want to be an NBA basketball player, but I don't want to lift weights and I don't want to go to practice. I don't want to be coached. It's all part of what you're doing. And today, with the way that you have access to people and you can target your market and all that kind of stuff, it seemed like you would be excited about it because you can find your artists. I mean, you can find your fan base and you can make the kind of music you want to make. Nobody says you have to make this commercial poppy stuff anymore to reach the audience. You can make the kind of music you want to make and find the people that like it now. You should be excited to do that. What you think about that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just get into it either for the wrong reasons or don't understand about artist development. I think artist development is a big important part because if you don't have, you know, artist that like understands what kind of image, what kind of music he's making, then like you're matching the images and the visuals with the artist and the music. So like I think some people just, you know, kind of jump into it without understanding the big picture, right? So for the most part, right, like some people have different ways of making music, right? So it's about coming back to the business side of it and just putting your best foot forward, right? I think for the most part, if you're not, you know, covering all angles, like there's so much you got to do, right? Like you don't only have to send out, you know, your DJ packs to the DJs, but you got to send out your links to the playlist creators. You got to do some guerrilla marketing. You got to do live shows, and you got to talk to people, man, and you got to let people know you're out there, right? So there's a lot of people doing music. I've said this before. I might even said it on the last interview we did on your show, where there's 8 billion people on earth and 7 billion of them want to be either rappers or rock stars. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? How are you going to stand out, right? Some people are taking the gimmick route. Some people are doing the thirst trap route, you know, and it's like, what do you want to do, right? What kind of artist are you? You know what I mean? And if you don't have that figured out, then there's going to be no plan, no campaigns, no strategy, right?
Now, who are you listening to? Like, as just as a fan, who are you listening to?
Oh man, I'm listening to a little bit of everybody. You know, Alchemist did a joint project with Mike that I've been listening to. I've been listening to a lot of local Toronto artists. Roshin just dropped some new stuff. Even my roommate's about to drop some new singles, and his album's gonna roll out. But he had a listening party, so we definitely got a lot of music coming out, man. There's a lot of stuff coming out. If you guys want to tap into, I make so many playlists where you guys can just tap into what I'm listening to by checking out my playlists, from bigger name artists to indie artists. It's all in there. And these playlists are doing great too. It's part of my guerrilla marketing strategy. So definitely people out there listening, if you guys want to work together and network, there's these ways we can do things, and I'm willing to break bread with people. You know what I mean?
What's your roommate's name? Because that's one of the people. Funny thing, I was reaching out to people promoting your interview, and he was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
he's the one that produced my joint, "Drinks in the Air," and that's one of my more best performing songs out there.
that's the song I was talking about earlier. I couldn't remember the name. Drinks in the Air. That's a
yeah, and he goes by Pretty Ugly. And he's an MC producer.
Okay. Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I actually live with him."
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's nice, man. It's nice to work with people in this city, man. Like my roommate, Pretty Ugly. He's been in Toronto for a while now, but he's from Thunder Bay too, right? So we all come from different walks of life, different perspectives, and you know what I mean. It's just cool to have music bring us all together, right? Like at the end of the day, that's what music is supposed to do.
Right. Well, I asked you about who you listening to, number one, because I'm always looking to find new dope music to check out. And number two, I think one of the solutions to bringing value back to the music is for us to become fans again.
That's important.
I've been streaming the hell out of some of the artists that that have been making my playlist because I've become a fan of the artist, or I'm starting to love the hell out of some of these people's songs. I feel like when we get in the music business and we start making music professionally, we kind of lose that fandom. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's very important to stay a fan first, right? I think some people are music snobs generally, right? They can't have somebody tell them about something. They got to be the one that put people on, right? So I think there's a lot of people that sometimes have a little bit maybe too high of a standard, or they're just music is subjective. At the end of the day, there's also people that have their preferences. Some people love gun raps and some people don't. Some people only listen to conscious hip hop, right? So it's all about preference. And like you were saying earlier, you just got to find people that are messing with your sound. I think it's important that we have to understand that you just got to find your family. You know what I mean? Find your family, find the people that are going to support you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be blood related. You know what I'm saying?
Right. A lot of times when you deal with artists, you might be working with them. You like them as a person, or you think they're talented, but that doesn't really mean you listen to their music. Ultimately, if people are going to get paid, people have to buy and stream that music. I feel like when you become an artist and work in the business, you just kind of everything becomes, you thinking critically, like, well, I wouldn't have done this, or you're not just thinking from the perspective of a fan, and it's important to be able to just turn that off when you listening to music sometimes. I know you got to all, if you making music, you're always going to be thinking about, well, okay, I like that drum and I like that sample, or I would have done this, or I would have done that different. But sometimes you got to just sit back and just enjoy the music. That's what got you into it, and that was your inspiration. And I feel like a lot of people, I know it happened to me, they lose that inspiration because you can't even just sit and listen to anything as a fan, and it really affects you when you're dealing with your peers, because to be honest, a lot of your peers are just as good as people that you listening to on a major label, on major platforms, but you're not giving them a fair shake because you know them and you have to measure yourself up to them and be like, well, I'm better than him, or you can't give it to them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I think Rick Rubin was saying it best when he was talking about it in an interview, where if you go into making an album and you're thinking about record sales and is it going to translate to record sales and so on and so forth, that it's going to be really hard to make, really authentic music. I think that he was proving a point, and some people would probably disagree with this point, and I think people have since, but it's important to let the music make itself, right? You gotta fall in love with the beat. You gotta fall in love with the words that you're putting on the paper, and then that way the conviction really comes out when you go to record it, and then when you go to perform it. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have the conviction, you know what I mean, people ain't gonna be buying what you're selling. So I think it's super important that if you can figure out a way to make hits and think about sales while doing it, that's good on you. You know what I mean? Especially if it's working for you. But if you're just somebody that's new to making music, I think it's very important just to be the most authentic self and also focus on making music that you love. Some people will like chase a trend and they don't necessarily like that sound. You know what I mean? But they know that it's popular and it's going to get the money or something. So maybe that's why they're chasing that trend, that sound. If it be like the Toronto OVO sound with the Drake stuff, or if it's the Weekend Toronto sound, you know what I mean? So like at the end of the day, being original is what's going to get you the most respect and having the most longevity in this industry anyway. So it's not really worth, always chasing trends and sounds and being a copycat, right?
Right. So while we're talking about songs, what are some of the things you do to ensure that you make good songs?
I think it's the most important part is not faking the funk, and also doing songs that have a message. Because I don't always do songs that have a message. Some songs are just me having a good time. For instance, "Drinks in the Air" is just like an ode to hip hop. I put it out the 50th anniversary of hip hop, right? So it was just kind of my open letter to hip hop and just having fun with it and paying homage. But then there's other times where I'm getting serious, like Coke Line and Chemtrails, where I'm trying to prove a point and maybe open some eyes or put out some thought provoking stuff that opens up some questions in some people's minds where they want to go and be more politically apathetic and understand the process of how we have leaders in power and what they're doing and how much government oversight that might be going on. So yeah, at the end of the day, like it's not just about politics for me either. Like I have this new joint I'm working on, that's almost done being completed. We're just putting the final touches on. It's touching on protecting your mental health and my verse, everything about what I say in that verse, I mean it 1000%. You know what I mean? I think it's so important to protect your mental health. And and one of the lines I say is if you must, raise the price of your service, right? If somebody's interrupting your peace of mind, you know what I mean? If it doesn't bring you peace, profits, or purpose, you know what I mean? You don't have to make it your circus. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things, these are the lines I have in these songs, and then we got a DJ to do cuts, and it's just coming together so beautifully, and the cuts just further implement what me and the other artists were saying on the track. So once I put that out there, like I'm gonna be so happy if people receive it well, because it's something that I hold dear in my heart. Like I do want to see mental health in general get better across the board. You know what I mean? I want to see people's, peace of mind be at peace. And I don't want to see people stressing and anger and high blood pressure. I just went to recently see my doctor and he told me I got high blood pressure. I was like, he asked me about work just before taking my high blood pressure. So the next time I went, he didn't ask me about work and check my high blood pressure, and it wasn't bad. So this is the type of stuff I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like we all out here having stress over something, if it's baby moms or a shitty job or whatever the case may be. So we want to try to emphasize, leading with love and having compassion and empathy and understanding. Like I like to lean towards more conscious hip hop than doing some grimy stuff. But when I do the grimy stuff, it tends to be political grimy stuff, you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to go into the lane of gun raps, you know what I mean? I don't gangbang, right? So
Right. Yeah, along the lines of songs, one of the things that besides stressing the hustling, besides stressing the things you need to do to push your music, one thing that I want to get across to artists is the importance of knowing the difference between having talent and making good songs. There are artists that are great at spitting bars. There are artists that are great at going, ripping freestyles. But that doesn't mean you make good records. There are people that have talent that you can hear the talent and they might be trending towards making good records, but they're not quite there yet. And it's a difference. And it comes that's part of what you spoke earlier about how there's not that much artist development anymore. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, I think that's a super important part, right? Where somebody is trying to be an artist, and if there's something that they lack or there's something they need improvement on, what's wrong with going to get vocal classes, or what's wrong with going to work on some pronunciation stuff, or whatever the case may be, right? Like you got to fine tune yourself as an artist, breath work, So if it means going to take up yoga or whatever the case may be, artist development can come in many shape, forms, or fashions.
Yeah, and even like I know some people that are great lyricists, and they can't get on a decent beat. I mean, a lot of it is just locking in with a good producer, whether you know a few producers or you got a go-to guy. That's very important, man. I mean, I'm not gonna name any names, but there's I know some people that they talk about how great their projects are about to be and how their lyrics are on this next level, and they like rapping over crickets and stuff. And I'm like, you did all of this talking and I can't even listen to this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? And I think education is key, right? Like, you know what I mean? Some people are just doing it themselves in their own bedrooms and stuff like that, and mix and mastering it themselves. So, I think making beats knock and have swing to them comes with putting in those hours. You know what I mean? So, like, if you are an MC that can slaughter it and you just got mad bars, maybe it's time to start working on a next craft and making your own beats so that you can just do it all yourself. Sometimes you just have to do it yourself, right? So at the end of the day, it takes time though, right? So, I've had an MPC for a couple of years and I'm barely, calling myself a student at this point. You know what I mean? I'm still learning. I'll chop loops. I'll work with the producer to make the beat come to life, but I can't say that I produced it. I can maybe say I co-produced it because I chopped and maybe had some say on the composing part. But man, if you don't put those 10,000 hours in, save the talking, man. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why some people have such egos but don't have the 10,000 hours put in. That's what shocks me the most, I think, and with what we're touching on, because like as a person that works in the vinyl pressing industry, there's some people that have money and are pressing to records but shouldn't be because it sounds like bad, you know what I mean? But they're just, spoon fed or have some kind of luck and came across some money or whatever and thought it's a good idea to put together a band. But there's a lot that goes into stuff, right? Like even respecting the process of the way vinyl gets made, right? You take digital masters and you try to put that on a vinyl, it's going to sound funny. You know what I mean? You have to get it specifically mixed and mastered for vinyl. Then you got to get it cut onto a soft plastic called a lacquer. Then that lacquer's got to get sent to an electroplating company where the alchemy process happens, where they, spray it on, boom, they put it in a chemical bath, they peel it off, and then boom, you have a metal stamper. They're just going to cut it and, coin it in the center and then mold it so that it fits molds, and then they ship it to somebody like me that works at a vinyl pressing plant, and we put it on and we press records. Some people don't understand how magical process that is, and still don't understand how it's such an expensive process, right? So for an artist to do a minimum of 200 records, he's only breaking even, right? But then he opens up his profit margins when he goes to sell those 200 records and he comes back to do a second pressing, right? So it's super important to respect the process of things, you know what I mean? Like you don't become a businessman overnight without failing a few times, right?
Right. So speaking of producers, You named a few of your producers. You have a in-house guy that you're working with.
So yeah, right now I'm working with a few. So Type A Records consists of a lot of artists and producers and MCs. And so right now I'm just closely working with Peace Omega, Rickshaw, Swan, and just keeping it moving. At the end of the day, I got a joint coming out with Diamond Sun, which is Rickshaw and Peace Omega, and I co-produced that joint. So that's gonna probably come out more later in the summer. But these are the things that we just do on a regular basis. We get in the studio and we work. You know what I mean? And you have an idea. If you find some dope samples that you want to chop up, bring it to the table. You make it happen, and then try to make the best product possible. So, yeah, with Rickshaw and his skills as an engineer, he also produces. He also MC, singer. You know what I mean? Like he's very multi faceted when it comes to getting in the studio and even playing instruments. So it's great working with these dudes because it's so natural just sitting and hanging out with people. For me, like I'm a type of person that does also sit alone and work and write and so on and so forth. But I love both of it. You know what I mean? Like having that quiet space to work alone is great because you can get really focused. But then working with people and in the studio, if your bandwidth can handle it, then it's great because you can have some really great chemistry that comes out of it. Like just wait till you hear Danger Zone. After watching Cool G Rap and MOP perform, you can tell the energy that everybody brought to the song because all three of us were at that concert. So just wait for Danger Zone. It's a banger. And just the way it came about, like I said, I was just sitting there smoking a one with him and finishing a drink. And he was just making the beat in front of me. And then I started writing. And I spit a couple lines out loud. And then I came back literally 24 hours to record my verse. So then once they, came back and finished putting their finishing touches on it over the next few days, we were ready to rock. But we're just like, wanted to roll it out at the right time. And we felt a little bit closer to summer would be better because it's energetic. You know what I mean?
Right. If you had unlimited resources, who is the dream producer you would like to work with?
Hands down, Premier.
Right. That's funny.
Without question, man. Without question. Premier definitely always been my favorite producer. So, getting a special, personally maybe, because that's what he does, right? He makes beats catered to the artist. And I think that, I think he would appreciate the raspiness of my voice and, the way that I flow on beats, that I'm not like, rapping to a metronome and that I'm like in the pocket, but like different, you know what I mean? So like everybody's got their own way that they want to flow on beats. And I think that he would appreciate the raspiness and the style of flow. So I think he would be able to really compliment shit, you know what I mean? Because that's what he does. He likes to make a beat cater to an artist. It's very rare that, this person turned down the beat and it went to this person. It has happened with Premier. He has mentioned it in interviews, but I'm just saying he likes to cater beats to specific artists.
So who are some of the MCs that influenced you when you were coming up?
I think the rapper I first started listening to that got me, completely immersed into hip hop was Big Daddy Kane. And that was in 91. And then I just watched the 90s unfold. So like who didn't, you know what I mean, keep me, happy as a fan. There was Reasonable Doubt, there was Illmatic, there was Mobb Deep's first couple albums, right? So like you're talking about a great time in hip hop history. And what's crazy is like there was so much good stuff coming out that some people got even slept on. Like I tell people about the one band, the Bums from the West Coast. Their whole album is front to back play, no skips. And some people that claim to be hip hop heads have never heard of them. You know what I mean? And it's just because a group like that just kind of got slept on. If you weren't from the West Coast, you just might not have heard it over here on the East Coast, right? So Brothers Under Madness album, Flex of the Finger, Six Figures It Up, like so many dope tracks and just so many feel good beats. So it's just joints like that and albums like that make me like really appreciate hip hop because, who's to know that that's how one of our careers can go, right? Like maybe in the midst of trying so hard, we never get noticed. And then, you know, you stop making music, you die or whatever the fuck happens. And then next thing you know, 20 years later, a new generation of people fall in love with your music and you become popular, right?
Right. Now you're very active online. What are some of the things you're doing to promote yourself offline?
I think just like, working with those networks I'm talking about is having those conversations in the DM. So it's still kind of online, but it's just kind of behind the scenes and just working with cross promoting. And, there's some guerrilla marketing stuff that I'm doing. I can't really talk about it publicly, but it's definitely in the same wheelhouse of like, flyer bombing outside of a hip hop show. Like if you got a show coming up on, June 18th and June 2nd, Method Man's coming in town. You go and promote your hip hop show outside of Method Man's hip hop show. So it's kind of like in that same idea, but it's definitely something I'm trying to monetize because it's a brilliant idea and it's something a lot of people can take advantage of. And if we work together as a network, it can help us all get global reach, right? Especially if people from the UK start doing it, and Canada and America, and we all are helping each other, and you know what I mean. So there's some stuff that I'm working on, definitely in the background that is pretty brilliant, but I can't really speak on it on the live. But if anybody wants to DM me and wants to talk about it, we can definitely have a further conversation. But that guerrilla marketing is so important, right? Like, if you're not out trying to, come up with creative ways to stand out, then you know what I mean, you're just kind of like hoping something falls in your lap, like you're going to be discovered like Bieber. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't happen like that for everybody.
I believe you said you were working. I mean, we already established that you are working at a record pressing plant.
Yep.
And you talked a little bit about physical copies. How do you think physical copies of vinyl and CDs and things like that fit into today's music industry? And are you doing vinyl and CDs?
Yeah, I am. I think it's important to do so, especially if you're doing live shows. I think it's good because if somebody falls in love with your live performance, 9 times out of 10, they'll most likely come and try to support you by buying some of your physical merch. If it be t-shirt, CD, hat, vinyl. So I think it's super important, but it's also you got to remember you're now a salesman, right? You have to sell your product. So knowing that you got to keep moving those units, you got to keep staying creative. So finding ways to get people to dip into their bank accounts and come out and support you, right? Give them a reason to support you. Honestly, you know what I mean. Some people that are asshole artists, maybe nobody's supporting you because they try to come and have a conversation with you and you just like were a snob or standoffish, right? So I get some artists want to be private and whatever, but at the end of the day, we live in a world where you have to put yourself out there and become more personable to attract people. That's just you have to adapt to the times, I guess, right?
Right. So are you doing any performances, or you got anything coming up?
Yeah, I actually will be locking in a lot of shows this summer, but I am allowed to announce that I'll be performing alongside Diamond Sun at a 3-day music festival called HustleTalooza, September 13th, 14th, and 15th. I'll be performing 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. On the 14th. So definitely come check us out if you're in the area, if you're from around the way, and just other artists out there. If you're interested in performing, also take notice of what this festival is. It's multi-music. They have seminars and workshops. They really do their best to help promote indie artists. They want to help indie artists get discovered. So it's not about signing or getting big name artists to do any headlines. Like even the headlining acts are small indie bands, right? But just maybe ones that are a bit more established. So what they do to promote and get you more interviews to, promote yourself and promote your performance at Gustapalooza is amazing. The food trucks, the people there. Every time I perform, this is my third time performing there. I won an award last year for the Spirit of Gus, and I think it was, I think they really appreciated my, activeness. I was always promoting and pushing and resharing the stuff about Gustapalooza all summer long and doing what I can to spread the word about Gustapalooza. And then, also I've done interviews there and, help share the content that we created by doing those interviews with them. And so that was just something they saw and was like, you know what, this guy deserves the Spirit of Gus Award. So it was an honor, and to come back and perform is an honor. So the people were great. I had merch sales when I performed. So why not, right? Like, it's the way to get your music out there, right? So I'm going to try to lock in some more shows leading up to the festival and just make sure that my performance game is tight. I don't want to let nobody down, and I want to be putting my best foot forward. So, if you guys stay tuned to my socials, you'll be able to stay tuned to any up and coming shows that are going to be happening this summer. But in September, get ready for 3 days of camping and a hell of a lot of music, man.
Wow. You got enough music to do a hour show?
Well, they're only giving me 45 minutes, but I'm going to be, playing some joints while I try to sell some merch, because I'll be closing out the acoustic stage. So the acoustic stage is a barn, and then they have two other stages that are side by side that they have bands alternating. So I will be competing with the headlining show and the headlining act on the main stage. But I'm definitely going to be campaigning my ass off all day. So I'm going to go hang out, see some acts, and try to get as many people to come hang out with me in the barn. So I am performing with Diamond Sun to help fill the 45-minute set list, and that's why Diamond Sun's coming with me, because one, to help me fill the 45-minute set list, and two, that's who I've been working with and making a lot of music with currently, right? Like, they're on my joint Nobody. Close to me will be out by then. Peace Omega's on Put Me On Your remix. They got me on their joint Time's Up, which will be out by the time Gustapalooza happens. So a lot of moving parts and a lot of people involved. So it's gonna be a good 45-minute set.
Okay. Now, are there many hip hop acts performing at Gustapalooza, or is it like mixture, or is it like an alternative vibe, or?
So it's mixed genres. You'll see all genres from, rock to heavy metal to hip hop, to everything. You name it, acoustic acts, you name it. So this year, I believe there'll be 2 hip hop acts on the bill. That's me and Usual Suspects, I think, is the other hip hop act on the bill. So last year there was a couple of hip hop acts on the bill as well, and the year before that there was a few. So there's definitely a mixed genre vibe going on. So for somebody that enjoys multiple genres, it's something that can be really really enjoy. Like, people can really come out and enjoy it.
Now, you're doing your thing in and around Toronto. Are you moving around the country and other places? So,
is my music playing in other countries as well?
No, are you moving around Canada, different places besides Toronto?
Nah, I do want to, like, maybe one day, like, do a tour across Canada. That way, like, I get some more fan base growth by getting, and hitting the grindstone and going out and doing live shows and meeting people from, province to province, city to city. It's just not in the budget, right? You gotta, like, these days as an indie artist, if you're gonna go do a tour, you should fund it yourself. But funding it yourself shouldn't be taken lightly. You should make sure you have the proper budget in store to do that. So I just don't want to do it half-assed, and definitely will do it when the time is right and the money's there.
Okay. So what is the next thing that people can expect from Devious One? Because we want to know what you're working on and who you're working with.
Well, yeah, man, for sure. I got the new joint. Like I just dropped "Put Me on Your Remix." Danger Zone's coming out. Closer to Me's coming out, and then my feature on the Diamond Sun joint, Times Up's coming out. So there's a lot of new singles coming out, and then like I said, working on an album currently right now with Swan, and should be aiming to come out, in the next 6 months or so. And then in 2025, expect a new EP with Peace Omega. So we definitely stay working, and we're just trying to find and pick the best beats and approach them with the utmost respect of all five elements of hip hop.
Well, tell the people where they can find you and your products at.
Yeah, man, you can find me on Bandcamp for my physical copies of my vinyl, my CDs, screen printed T-shirts, embroidered hats, and that's bandcamp.com/Prospect Ave. You can find me on all social media on Facebook. You can look up my artist page, Devious One, DeviouSone. You can find my first personal Facebook page, Mickey Blunts, and that's with a Z on the end instead of an S. My YouTube channel with my music videos is Prospect Ave, but spelled with a K instead of a C. Indie Rotation is on the Indie Canada YouTube channel. So if you want to check out those episodes of Indie Rotation, I'm not on Twitter, and Instagram is DEEVEEUSWON. So yeah, those are all my socials. And if you have any problem remembering any of that, you can just find me on socials and hit the link tree, and my link tree will have my Bandcamp, links to my YouTube channels, and even New Music Tuesday links are in there as well. So.
All right. Well, we thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, man. It was great, man. Thanks for the interview, man.
People, check out Devious One. Make sure you subscribe to us on whatever platform you're watching on. Make sure you listen to My Detroit Hustle Radio on Live 365. You can check out that Devious One music on there too.
Dope.
And other hot, underground, independent, and unsigned music and interviews. So with that being said, we're going to get out of here.
Much respect for what you do, man.
Peace, and we out of here.
Peace.